Welcome to This Explainer. I'm absolutely thrilled you're joining me today. As a senior instructor at Pratimoksha, Dubai's premier yoga studio, I see a very specific, honestly, deeply frustrating pattern every single day. Today, we're going to explore the true, often completely hidden root of chronic back pain. If you've been struggling with that persistent, dull ache that just won't quit no matter what you try, I want you to really settle in. We're looking at this through the rich lens of classical yoga therapy, and I promise you, the real answer to your pain, it might completely surprise you. So let's ask the big question right up front. Is your chair really the problem? Because I deeply empathize with so many of you, especially our hardworking, overworked Dubai professionals. I know you've tried everything, right? You invested in the fancy ergonomic chair, you bought the memory foam lumbar cushion, you've endlessly tweaked your desk height, maybe you even downloaded one of those apps that buzzes your phone to remind you to sit up straight. But the back pain? It's still there. It's incredibly frustrating when you feel like you're doing everything mechanically right, but you're still hurting at the end of the day. Okay, let's dive into this. When we look at clinical research, a groundbreaking truth emerges that backs up exactly what we see in our yoga studio every single day. If you compare physical ergonomic factors, like how much time you spend sitting or your desk height, against psychological stress factors like intense workplace pressure, well, stress actually wins out. The data makes it crystal clear. Psychological stress is a significantly stronger predictor of persistent chronic lower back pain than how many hours you clock at a desk. So that expensive chair, it turns out, it's probably not the main culprit. To really grasp what's happening to your body, we need a massive paradigm shift. Traditionally, we've all been taught to view back pain through a strictly mechanical lens. You fix the posture, you stretch the tight muscle, you buy a new chair. But at Pratimoksha, we approach this through a neurological view. Just think about the reality of modern life for a second, especially the intense, fast-paced expat life here in Dubai. You've got long commutes, constant digital overload, relentless professional demands. This environment fundamentally alters your nervous system's state. It creates this deep, continuous stress that causes your body to literally brace itself against the world. And this brings us to a foundational concept in our practice. Posture is a somatic expression of your nervous system state. I really, really want you to take this away today. When you find yourself slouching, rounding your back, or noticing your shoulders creeping all the way up to your ears, that's not just laziness. It's not simply a bad habit. Actually, scratch that. It's more like your body's incredibly intelligent, albeit totally exhausting, attempt to brace itself and prepare for a threat. The overwhelming issue here is that under our modern pressures, that perceived threat, it never fully passes, so the bracing never fully releases. Let's define exactly what's happening just under the surface. In our experience, we call this chronic activation. It's a prolonged state of nervous system alertness that essentially forces the muscles along your spine to remain in a continuous, low-grade state of contraction. Imagine lightly flexing your bicep and just holding it there all day long. What happens? Well, it restricts blood flow, it radically reduces your flexibility, and it creates the exact kind of dull, persistent ache that you're probably feeling right now. And this is exactly why your usual stretching or quick massages simply can't fix it. The trigger isn't mechanical. It's neurological. Let's walk through the actual anatomy of stress bracing and how it manifests in your physical body right this very second. Try to feel this with me. When that background noise of daily stress creeps in, your shoulders naturally hunch forward, right? They're trying to protect your vital organs. Your jaw tightens up, locking in that tension. Your lower back physically compresses under the invisible weight of your deadlines and to-do lists. And those paraspinal muscles, the long, stabilizing muscles running right down either side of your spine, they sustain this constant, rigid contraction. This is literally the physical architecture of your stress. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly why we need to look slightly deeper into our anatomy to find the ultimate release valve, which brings us to the forgotten diaphragm. Here is the missing link that we emphasize so heavily in our clinical work: the diaphragm. It's this massive, dome-shaped muscle separating your chest from your abdomen. Now, most people just know it as the muscle that helps you breathe, but crucially, it is also absolutely central to stabilizing your lumbar spine. So if your lower back is constantly overworking and aching, I guarantee you this vital muscle is almost certainly involved in the dysfunction. Let's look at the exact chain reaction that happens in your body. It all begins when sustained daily stress induces shallow, chest-level breathing. We all do it when we're tense, right? Because your breath is shallow, the downward movement of your diaphragm becomes severely restricted. Without that full, expansive diaphragmatic movement, your deep core stabilizing muscles just fail to activate properly. And finally, Your lower back muscles are forced to overwork to compensate for that complete lack of core stability. It's a direct, measurable cycle where a stressed breath literally forces your back muscles into a painful, exhausting overdrive.
This is precisely why our founder at Pratimoksha, Lalitha Viswanath, teaches this really profound principle. She says, breath is the most direct bridge between the nervous system and the muscular body. Lalitha brings over 19 years of dedicated classical yoga study to our studio, and her insight here establishes the immense authority of our approach. We don't focus on the breath merely because it's calming, we focus on it because it is the exact structural remote control needed to turn off that chronic activation in your back muscles. So the crucial point is this: restoring your diaphragmatic breathing is a structural intervention. It's not just some simple relaxation exercise. In true classical yoga therapy, exactly as we teach it at Pratimoksha, we never ever separate the mind from the body. They are one fully integrated field. By changing the mechanics of how you breathe, you're quite literally changing the physical structure, the tension patterns, and the muscular support of your spine. It's a total game changer. So how do we actually fix this? That brings us directly to the Pratimoksha philosophy and our specific therapeutic approach to healing. Our individualized therapeutic approach is built on 4 core pillars. First up, structural realignment through highly specific asanas designed to deeply decompress the lumbar region. Second, nervous system regulation. This is where we intentionally and deliberately shift you from a stressed, sympathetic state to a rest and restore parasympathetic state. Third is breath-led release, using focused pranayama to directly soften those paraspinal muscles we talked about earlier. And finally, sustained awareness. This is where we actively train you to rebuild your physical sensitivity so you can actually feel and release tension throughout your workday long before it compounds into unbearable pain. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a final, somewhat provocative question. What is your body carrying that it hasn't been able to put down? If your back pain has persisted despite all those mechanical corrections, it's really time to ask a different question. And honestly, we would love to help you answer it. I warmly invite you to leave that lumbar cushion at home and join us for a true healing trial session at our Out Mitha studio in Dubai. Thank you so much for learning with me today, and I truly hope to see you on the mat very soon.